Adrenaline has a sound. It starts as a low hum in the distance, then grows into a heartbeat that syncs with your pulse. It is the sound of heat shimmering over open terrain, of tires gripping into soft sand, of suspension absorbing chaos and turning it into control. This is where adventure leaves the pavement and enters a realm few vehicles dare to master. It is not about luxury or speed alone, it is about resilience, about what happens when engineering meets pure, relentless terrain. Imagine a machine that thrives where roads vanish, that accelerates into dust storms instead of away from them, a truck that seems less like transportation and more like invitation. Today, we explore what happens when a brand famous for off-road heritage pushes that heritage to its breaking point, and then builds past it. This is not just about horsepower or torque numbers, it is about identity, endurance, and the human drive to conquer the untamable. Stick around, hit like and subscribe, and tell us in the comments what machine you want to see next on this journey of capability and character. The 2025 Jeep Gladiator Mojave X begins with a promise, one forged in the sun-baked desert where survival depends on precision. This truck is not an evolution for comfort, it is a deliberate move to redefine what it means to be desert-rated. The Mojave badge has always meant speed across unstable ground, but in 2025, Jeep took that idea and amplified it with a focus on endurance, refinement, and control under punishing conditions. Every inch of this Gladiator carries the DNA of a challenge, the challenge to stay composed when the terrain wants to throw everything at it. From its high-clearance suspension to its reinforced frame, this truck was built for people who see sand, rock, and distance as playgrounds, not obstacles. To understand how the 2025 Jeep Gladiator Mojave X reached this point, we have to go back to the foundation. The Gladiator nameplate itself brought a sense of versatility when it first entered Jeep's modern lineup. It bridged a gap that few vehicles dared to occupy, blending the utility of a pickup with the adventure mindset of a trail rig. But the Mojave variant carved out its own niche. It was never about crawling over boulders at low speed like its Rubicon sibling. It was about momentum, shock absorption, and long-distance control. The Mojave was designed for open desert performance, a realm of heat, vibration, and unpredictability that few vehicles can tolerate for long. The Mojave X, however, adds a new layer. Jeep wanted this model to do more than survive the desert. It needed to dominate it while maintaining a level of interior refinement suitable for everyday use. The engineers called it an experiment in dual identity, a desert runner that can commute in quiet confidence. The X package integrates advanced Fox internal bypass shocks with external reservoirs, each designed to manage heat buildup during extended runs at speed. These components are more than hardware, they are heat managers, allowing the Gladiator Mojave X to keep moving when lesser suspensions fade. Underneath the hood, the familiar 3.6-liter Pentastar V6 remains, tuned for consistent power delivery and reliability. Some critics expected a more radical engine swap, perhaps a turbo or hybrid unit, but Jeep stayed loyal to what works. The Pentastar's naturally aspirated design ensures predictable throttle response across uneven surfaces, and when paired with Jeep's TorqueFlite 8-speed automatic transmission, it creates a fluid connection between driver input and terrain response. This decision highlights Jeep's philosophy: control matters more than raw speed. Inside the cabin, the 2025 Jeep Gladiator Mojave X showcases a quieter and more advanced environment than any previous Mojave. Jeep understood that long-distance off-road travel is not only about endurance but about the driver's ability to stay focused. So they refined sound insulation, recalibrated steering feedback, and integrated a new suite of driver assistance technologies. The updated infotainment system, featuring the Uconnect 5 platform, delivers faster response and customizable displays, ensuring critical vehicle data is always visible. It might seem subtle, but in an environment where a fraction of a second can mean a missed correction, clarity is everything. Beyond technology, design plays a crucial role. The Mojave X's exterior carries a stance of authority. Its 1-inch front lift gives it a commanding angle of attack, while the orange-accented tow hooks and hood decals remind you of its purpose. This is not an accessory truck. Every color choice and contour has function behind it. The hood scoop channels airflow toward cooling systems, and the body lines minimize dust buildup during high-speed travel. The 33-inch all-terrain tires are the finishing touch, chosen not for looks but for their ability to bite into soft sand and hold their edge in transitions. Yet, what truly defines the Gladiator Mojave X is how it feels when the environment turns hostile. Drivers often describe an unexpected calm inside the cabin as they crest dunes or absorb hard landings. That calm does not come from luck, it comes from engineering balance. The combination of hydraulic jounce bumpers and frame reinforcements creates a momentary cushion that transforms impacts into controlled rebounds. It is as if the truck breathes with the terrain, expanding and contracting with rhythm rather than resistance. When Jeep's engineers tested this model in Arizona and California, they weren't chasing lap times, they were testing survivability. Each prototype endured long days at triple-digit heat, moving through sand washes and dry lake beds to study thermal resistance. This kind of validation is where the Mojave X earns its reputation. Every failure, every recalibration, every reinforcement tells a story of persistence. It is what separates this Gladiator from a simple trim upgrade. Of course, creating a truck like this means striking a delicate balance. Too much comfort, and the off-road purists lose faith. Too much stiffness, and the daily driver feels punished. Jeep tackled this by recalibrating suspension geometry and traction control to adapt dynamically. The result is a truck that feels confident at highway speed yet stays agile in loose terrain. That dual character is rare, and it is the reason why the 2025 Gladiator Mojave X stands as a flagship in its class. However, there's also an emotional component to this machine. It connects the modern driver with a sense of heritage, echoing the original Jeep DNA of exploration and independence. Even though the Mojave X is packed with modern tech, it still encourages manual engagement. You can feel the road, or lack of it, through the steering wheel. You can anticipate the movement of the suspension and time your throttle input to ride the wave of the desert floor. That connection between human and machine is something many vehicles have lost in pursuit of convenience. In the American automotive landscape, where trucks are often judged by towing numbers or luxury features, the 2025 Jeep Gladiator Mojave X takes a different path. It is unapologetically specialized, and in that specialization lies its authenticity. It does not pretend to be everything to everyone. Instead, it stands as a symbol of purpose-built performance. You could say it answers a question few people knew they had: what happens when off-road agility meets real-world usability? That question leads us into the deeper core of this story. Because the Mojave X is not just an engineering exercise, it represents a philosophy shift within Jeep itself. For years, Jeep built its identity around rock crawling and trail exploration. The Mojave line, and now the Mojave X, mark a turn toward high-speed off-road dynamics. This shift signals something larger about where adventure vehicles are headed in the modern age, toward precision, endurance, and balance. In the next segment, we dive into that philosophy and explore how Jeep engineered not just a truck, but a system of resilience. We will break down how the 2025 Jeep Gladiator Mojave X adapts to the extremes of heat, stress, and motion, and why those engineering choices reveal more than just mechanical success. They show how the human instinct to push forward shapes every bolt and beam in its design. The 2025 Jeep Gladiator Mojave X enters its element not in a showroom but in the desert, where physics and patience meet. To understand how this truck sustains control where others falter, we need to look beyond its visible components. The Mojave X is more than steel and shocks. It is an integrated system that manages energy, temperature, and motion in harmony. Every part, from suspension to electronics, works together to create consistency in chaos. This is what separates an ordinary off-road vehicle from one truly engineered for endurance. The starting point is suspension dynamics. Jeep's engineers designed the Mojave X's Fox internal bypass shocks to behave like intelligent filters, allowing smooth movement on light terrain and tightening response under heavy compression. They absorb the violence of a high-speed bump without transferring it to the cabin, preventing driver fatigue and mechanical wear. Complementing that are hydraulic jounce bumpers, which act as secondary shock absorbers during extreme impact. Together, they transform abrupt landings into composed recoveries. This system not only preserves performance but also extends component longevity in brutal conditions. Temperature management plays a crucial role too. The Mojave X operates in environments where surface temperatures often exceed 120 degrees Fahrenheit, which can compromise fluid systems and electronics. Jeep's engineers reworked cooling pathways, optimizing airflow through the hood scoop and underbody channels. Even the transmission cooler was resized and repositioned to prevent thermal buildup during prolonged high-speed runs. The result is a truck that can sustain performance without entering thermal protection mode, ensuring the driver remains in control rather than waiting for systems to recover. Equally important is traction. The 2025 Jeep Gladiator Mojave X uses a combination of 33-inch all-terrain tires and recalibrated stability controls to adapt to surface changes in milliseconds. When driving over soft sand, power delivery must be smooth. Too much torque and the tires dig in, too little and you lose momentum. Jeep's traction algorithms read throttle inputs and will slip simultaneously, modulating torque distribution before human reflexes can react. This kind of predictive control transforms risk into rhythm. Drivers describe it as floating across the surface rather than fighting against it. Inside, the cockpit plays a psychological role in maintaining control under pressure. The Mojave X interior may look refined, but every ergonomic decision has purpose. Seat bolsters hold the driver in position through lateral movements. The flat-bottom steering wheel gives extra leverage during quick corrections, and the updated Uconnect 5 infotainment system displays real-time off-road data like pitch, roll, and temperature. Even the tactile feel of the controls was tuned for use with gloves, acknowledging that true desert driving demands both endurance and adaptability. Jeep's development team also focused on how the Gladiator Mojave X communicates with the driver. The goal was transparency, no surprises, no hidden delays. When you press the accelerator, you get immediate feedback. When you steer, the response is linear and predictable. This trust between human and machine defines the Mojave X experience. It allows drivers to operate at the edge of control without crossing it, a line that separates confidence from chaos. Testing this balance required more than laboratory simulations. Jeep sent prototypes to deserts in California and Nevada, where they faced terrain ranging from dry riverbeds to loose dunes. Engineers logged thousands of miles, monitoring component stress and driver feedback. Every adjustment, from damper calibration to tire pressure recommendations, came from real-world observation. The result was not just a collection of parts but a holistic system optimized through punishment and persistence. One of the defining traits of the 2025 Jeep Gladiator Mojave X is its ability to maintain composure at high speeds over uneven surfaces. Where other vehicles would lose balance or stability, the Mojave X keeps its centerline steady. This trait is critical because in desert racing environments, maintaining directional control often matters more than outright speed. A stable vehicle allows faster recovery and safer handling, giving drivers a margin of error that can mean the difference between progress and retreat. Another subtle but vital improvement lies in the Gladiator's steering and suspension geometry. Jeep adjusted the caster and camber angles to improve tracking precision, making it easier to predict where the front wheels will land after a crest. This mechanical predictability creates flow, allowing the driver to focus on rhythm rather than reaction. That rhythm is what separates a smooth desert run from a rough, exhausting one. Durability also plays a massive role in the Mojave X story. The truck's frame rails have been reinforced with thicker gauge steel, designed to withstand repeated high-stress impacts without warping. Jeep's engineers spent significant effort on weld integrity and component spacing, ensuring the frame could flex without failure. These are small details invisible to most drivers but vital to long-term reliability. It's the difference between a truck that endures one expedition and one that survives a lifetime of them. While mechanical resilience is key, comfort and usability complete the Mojave X's identity. Jeep integrated features like adaptive cruise control, forward collision warning, and blind spot monitoring, systems that may seem out of place in a desert-focused truck but serve a broader purpose. They make the Mojave X livable. A driver can conquer dunes one weekend and commute comfortably the next. That blend of extremes is rare, and it's part of why this model stands out in today's truck market. When you combine these technical choices, shock tuning, heat management, traction control, and chassis design, you end up with a vehicle that behaves predictably in unpredictable conditions. The 2025 Jeep Gladiator Mojave X doesn't just power through obstacles, it calculates, adapts, and endures. Every component works to maintain equilibrium, even as the environment tries to throw it off balance. That equilibrium defines the Mojave X philosophy: sustained performance through intelligent control. Yet, beyond all this mechanical precision lies something intangible: the feeling of command. When you drive the Gladiator Mojave X, you sense that it was built by people who understand the desert not as a backdrop, but as a living test. They engineered the truck not to fight the environment, but to harmonize with it. It's a quiet confidence that emerges from knowing your machine will not betray you when the world outside becomes unpredictable. And that confidence is what brings us to the next chapter of the Mojave X story. Because the 2025 Jeep Gladiator Mojave X is not just a triumph of engineering, it's a statement about where off-road design is heading. In the next segment, we explore the broader implications of this evolution, how this truck's philosophy reshapes expectations for future off-road vehicles, and why its balance of grit and grace could redefine what adventure means in the modern automotive era. The 2025 Jeep Gladiator Mojave X represents more than a vehicle. It is a turning point in how adventure is engineered and experienced. Its purpose is not confined to competition or recreation. It demonstrates how capability and comfort can coexist without compromise. In this final deep look, we examine what the Mojave X means beyond its mechanical triumphs, what it reveals about design philosophy, consumer expectations, and the future of off-road mobility. The world is changing, and so is the definition of what it means to explore. The Mojave X story begins with an old question: what does it take to master untamed ground? For decades, off-road enthusiasts have divided vehicles into two categories: machines that crawl with precision, and machines that run with speed. Jeep has historically dominated the first category with its trail-focused vehicles, but the Mojave line, and now the Mojave X, enters the second. The goal was to create a truck that could sprint across deserts as confidently as others climb over boulders. That duality, that fusion of speed and stability, symbolizes a new era of off-road design where extremes meet in equilibrium. What stands out in the 2025 Jeep Gladiator Mojave X is how it accomplishes this balance without losing identity. Many modern vehicles achieve comfort by diluting their purpose. Jeep chose to amplify it instead. The Mojave X retains its mechanical honesty. It looks like a tool built for the desert because that is exactly what it is. Yet step inside, and you find the kind of refinement once reserved for premium trucks. This juxtaposition invites a new kind of driver, one who values authenticity but refuses to sacrifice comfort. That shift tells us something profound about consumer expectations. Today's drivers want vehicles that perform under pressure but also support daily life. The Mojave X bridges that demand. It allows an owner to explore vast wilderness on the weekend and return to the city on Monday without switching machines. This dual-purpose nature makes it a symbol of versatility, not through marketing language, but through measurable engineering integrity. The same suspension that absorbs a hard landing in the dunes also smooths potholes on the highway. The impact of this approach extends beyond one truck. The 2025 Jeep Gladiator Mojave X challenges rivals to think differently about what off-road capability should mean. It redefines ruggedness as intelligence, as a harmony between toughness and technology. This idea will influence future design trends, pushing manufacturers to deliver vehicles that adapt dynamically to their surroundings. No longer is off-road performance measured only in locking differentials and tire size. It is about system communication, predictive control, and driver connection. Another critical aspect of the Mojave X's legacy is sustainability through durability. By building a vehicle capable of withstanding extreme environments with minimal wear, Jeep promotes longevity, a quiet form of responsibility. A machine that lasts longer reduces material waste and resource demand. It is a subtle but important evolution of the off-road ethos, adventure without excess consumption. This perspective aligns performance with stewardship, proving that ruggedness can coexist with environmental awareness. In addition, the Mojave X demonstrates the growing role of software in shaping physical performance. While traditional engineering still defines structure and mechanics, algorithms increasingly dictate behavior. The way the Mojave X manages traction, stability, and even steering response is largely digital. Jeep's calibration teams fine-tuned countless parameters to ensure consistency across all surfaces. This marriage of mechanical precision and digital intelligence points toward the next frontier of automotive innovation: vehicles that learn, adapt, and optimize themselves in real time. But perhaps the most compelling element of the 2025 Jeep Gladiator Mojave X is its cultural resonance. For many, it embodies the enduring appeal of independence. Even as society becomes more connected, more automated, there remains a deep desire to escape, to find solitude beyond paved roads. The Mojave X caters to that desire not by offering reckless power but by providing confidence through capability. It gives drivers the means to reach remote places safely, to rediscover scale and perspective in vast open spaces. The symbolism of the Mojave X extends even further. It reflects a nation's fascination with challenge, the idea that progress is not about comfort alone but about resilience and curiosity. Every curve of its body, every reinforcement under its chassis, carries that message, that growth happens when boundaries are tested. The truck becomes a metaphor for modern adventure, not reckless but deliberate, powered by preparation and respect for the terrain. As technology continues to advance, vehicles like the Mojave X will serve as transitional icons. They remind us that engineering excellence is not about replacing the human element but enhancing it. The connection between driver and machine remains the heart of the experience. When you drive the Mojave X through sand or over uneven trails, you feel feedback that guides your actions. It is a conversation between human intuition and mechanical response, an unspoken partnership that defines true control. Looking ahead, the principles embodied by the 2025 Jeep Gladiator Mojave X will likely influence not just trucks but the entire off-road ecosystem. Expect to see adaptive damping systems become more intelligent, weight distribution more calculated, and materials chosen for both strength and sustainability. Expect the line between workhorse and recreational vehicle to blur further, as consumers demand machines that perform multiple roles seamlessly. Ultimately, the Mojave X proves that progress in off-road design does not mean abandoning heritage. Instead, it means refining it. Jeep has taken decades of experience in low-speed, torque-heavy environments and translated that knowledge into high-speed stability. In doing so, the brand has expanded what its vehicles can be without losing what they stand for. It is evolution, not reinvention. The result is a truck that appeals not just to enthusiasts but to thinkers, people who appreciate when form follows function with precision. The Mojave X invites you to see engineering as art, as discipline expressed through movement and balance. Its design is not theatrical, it is purposeful, born from necessity and refined through iteration. And that is where its greatest achievement lies. The 2025 Jeep Gladiator Mojave X captures the essence of adventure in a form built to last. It tells us that even in an era of digital convenience, there remains value in mechanical honesty. It proves that power, when controlled with intelligence, becomes grace. In our final section, we will close the story of the Mojave X by exploring its legacy, how this truck reshapes the idea of off-road freedom and why it stands as a benchmark for future innovation, both within its lineage and across the entire landscape of modern mobility. The legacy of the 2025 Jeep Gladiator Mojave X is not measured only in horsepower or suspension travel, it is measured in confidence. It is the kind of confidence that comes from knowing a machine can meet uncertainty head-on and come out composed. The Mojave X takes the unpredictable nature of desert terrain and turns it into an opportunity for expression. It allows drivers to test limits without fear, to experience control in conditions that reject it. That sense of command is what defines great off-road vehicles, and in this case, it defines a new chapter in Jeep's story. By combining traditional toughness with modern intelligence, the 2025 Jeep Gladiator Mojave X bridges past and future. Its foundation is rooted in the brand's historic resilience, but its execution is forward-thinking, shaped by data, material science, and human-centered design. It reminds us that innovation is not always about chasing trends. Sometimes it is about perfecting principles that already work. The Mojave X refines those principles until they perform seamlessly across contrasting worlds, one of grit, one of polish. What makes this truck truly stand out is how it humanizes technology. Every system serves the driver, not the other way around. The shocks, traction control, and steering calibration are all designed to extend human ability, not replace it. This approach keeps the driver engaged, responsible, and connected. It's a lesson many future vehicles will need to learn. Progress is most powerful when it deepens the relationship between person and machine. The broader impact of the 2025 Jeep Gladiator Mojave X lies in what it represents for off-road mobility as a whole. It signals that the market no longer divides adventure into extremes of luxury and utility. It shows that capability can coexist with comfort, that endurance can pair with refinement, and that design can serve both spirit and function without compromise. In this way, the Mojave X becomes more than a model, it becomes a statement. As automotive design enters a new era defined by electrification and automation, the Mojave X stands as a reminder of balance. It proves that analog sensation still matters, that feeling the terrain under your tires still connects people to the world in ways no algorithm can replicate. It demonstrates that innovation should not erase the tactile, sensory side of driving, instead, it should amplify it. For enthusiasts, the Mojave X will be remembered as a benchmark, one of those rare machines that define what a brand can achieve when it focuses on purpose over popularity. It is a truck that captures the imagination not through excess, but through mastery. Every curve of its chassis, every calibration of its suspension, every whisper of its tires over sand tells the same story. Control is the ultimate form of power. For everyday drivers, it offers something subtler yet equally important, a sense of assurance. Even if most owners never set a wheel on the dunes, they will feel that confidence on every commute, every stormy night, every unexpected turn. That emotional durability is part of the Mojave X's design, and it might be its greatest gift. So when we look at the 2025 Jeep Gladiator Mojave X, we see more than a truck, we see a philosophy. We see how mechanical integrity, digital intelligence, and human instinct can align to create something that endures. We see how a brand known for exploration still finds new terrain to conquer, not by going faster, but by going smarter. The desert is an unforgiving place. It does not reward shortcuts or half measures. The Mojave X thrives there because it was born from that same discipline. It turns adversity into opportunity, chaos into rhythm, and motion into art. In doing so, it captures the timeless pursuit that drives engineers and adventurers alike, to find harmony between human skill and machine potential. That is the story of the 2025 Jeep Gladiator Mojave X, built for the harshest environments, refined for the everyday, and destined to influence how the next generation of vehicles define freedom. It stands as proof that the frontier is not gone, it has simply moved, waiting for those bold enough to chase it. And if this story inspired you, remember there are countless others still to tell. Like and subscribe, share your thoughts in the comments, and let us know which machine you want to explore next. Until then, keep your eyes on the horizon and your wheels steady, the journey continues.